Hello, folks. So, greetings to all. Now we'll look into arrays in Java. So, this is a short slide. So, just like to cover up very basic concepts in the array. Um, so, so if you have a programming background or any sort of C or C++ background already, I think you guys would be knowing what is an array. But still, to give a basic definition of an array, arrays are a group of like typed variables. So that is referred by a very common name. A common name is nothing but a variable name. So in so if you see, arrays in Java are a little different from what you have seen in the previous languages like C and C++, because here the memory is dynamically allocated, while in C and C++ it is not. And also there are few member functions which you can use in Java, while in C and C++ you cannot use those member functions because those member functions are not available. So now we know that it's dynamically allocated and there are a few member functions, and we can find the size of an array, and it has indices, it starts with 0. So these are the basic information which you can find about an array. So let's go ahead and then just see small declarations, and then we'll directly go with programming. We'll just do a small sort of program so that we can understand how an array works, and we can get familiarized with array type. Here you can see int as a primitive type, and int array is a variable name which includes with open and close square brackets, and these two declarations are pretty much the same. If you see, same thing is like followed with byte, short, boolean, all this are primitive data types, while my class array is an object for which you have created a custom class. Now jump into direct action. We'll just go into coding, and then we'll see how a particular array variable is declared, defined, and initialized, so that we can understand how it actually works. So yeah, as you can see here, I have a small class which I named sample test. Now I've created a main function which actually has some forms of initialization. So I'll explain one by one. So this one is here a string object array here, which I called names with a variable name with open and close square brackets. So this one I initialized with John, Mary, and David as the three values. These are nothing but names. And here string I've called subjects, again math, chemistry, and physics. And I've given some marks, so I think you would have already found out what I'm trying to do here. So just these are like class students. I can write some comments mentioning these are students, and then the subjects which the students have taken, and these are the marks which they acquired. So what I'm trying to find out is I'm going to get grades for them. So I'm going to write a logic which can actually pass through these arrays and get the grades for a particular student. So if I want to find a grade for a student, it will go through logic and give me what is the grade he actually got, he or she has got. So now you can find out a small difference in this particular array than the other forms of an array, because you can see there are two open and close square brackets here. So this is called a two-dimensional array. Here these are single dimensional array. So if you can see, there is one dimension where it goes linearly, just it has math, chemistry, and physics with indices 0, 1, and 2. While here you can see marks has it looks kind of a matrix if you see 0, 1, and 2. So this one, how the indices are is here, this is accessed with 0 and 0, and 0 and 1, and 0 and 2. So it's like a very similar like a matrix. So similarly, you can also have 3-dimension, 4-dimension till n-dimension arrays in your program, depending upon the usage, depending upon what type of solution you're trying to bring for your problem. So you can use n-dimensional array, and so now we're trying to find out the grades. So I'll create this function public static get grades. So here if you see we have passed the two-dimensional array object, so we'll try to you know, declare that here so that we can get the value, and we need to also pass the index. So this is nothing but the student index. Now we need to return a character which is nothing but the grade. So I will return a default character. I will say, you know, fail F for that. It will be the default if it doesn't go through the pass conditions. So now if you can see that you have passed two-dimensional arrays. So this is actually, it's a pass by reference. So the reference of the first index of the marks object, marks array, has been passed. So from this, you can access the next address. So to bring this in visualization, so I'll write on a comment. Let's say mark is pointing to address value 1000, okay, which is actually holding the value 90. So if I have declared a marks to be a single dimensional array, let's say 90 and 95 and 85 is a single dimensional array, then it would be, let's say I'm adding one more position, 1001, and 95 would be there, and 1002, 985 would be there. So this is how, this is an address and this is a value. This is how the memory allocation would have happened, and this is a sequential memory allocation in the array. But in a two-dimensional array, so the same thing would have been in a different format. So here you can see 1000 would lead to, let's say, 2000. 1001 would lead to, let's say, 2001. So let's call it 3001 for simplicity. And let's say this one is like 4001. Now 1000 is actually leading to 2000. 2000 would have 90, 2001 will have 95, 2002 will have 85. Now this is nothing but the first index, which is pointing to the three values sequentially again in the same fashion with a new memory allocation. So in similar fashion, the address is allocated, and again the sequential format carries on with the next dimension. So the first dimension memory reference is made, and the memory reference is pointed to another address, and that address points to the value. So this is very similar like how a pointer works in C. You can see like a double pointer pointing to an address, and then another address is pointing to a value. So it's very similar how a two-dimensional array works in Java. So now let's get back to the logic which we're trying to build. So what we're trying to do is, so we're going to pass through the marks. So I'm going to initialize I equals 0, I less than mark. As I told you, there's a member function concept, I++, which is a length here. This is the member function. In C++, we could have used size of. Here I'm using length, which is the member function of the array. Now I'm gonna do a summation of the index. If you can see here, I'm directly accessing the student index because I want the grade for a particular student. So I'm directly accessing the student index, which is going to give me 90, 95, and 85 directly. So I'm just going to initialize a variable int, I'm going to call it sum, and then sum equals sum plus marks of the student index and I. So I've got the value for sum. Now I'm gonna write some logic which is gonna say also let's take the mean value, because mean is the value, final value, which we're gonna get the final grade. So what I'm gonna do is int mean and then sum divided by marks dot length, so which is going to give me the mean. So now let's say the mean ideally should have been a float or a double. Let's take a double. Now sum is that mean is greater than or equal to 90.0. I'm gonna return a grade, else if mean is greater than 80.0, I'm gonna return B grade, else similar fashion if it is 70, I'm gonna return C. So yeah, we are done here, so we can run this program, return F. So I think this should work. Let's check it out. Sample test. So as you can see, I have passed the index of John, which is 0, and it have access 90, 95, and 85, and the output is A. So A grade is what we got. So 90 and 95 and 85, 270 divided by 3 is going to be 90, and as per that the logic works. So this is how we access an array, and this is how we get the values out of an array, and then we'll perform some operation. So let's say we are trying to access index which is not existing in an array. So what will happen here? So if we try to access something which is not in the array, so ideally we would be getting an array index out of bound exception, which is exception handling by Java, to say that the particular index for the memory is not allocated, so you can't access that object. So if we can try it out again. So I'll just try to print the array for which I'm not allocating any value here. Let's say names of, I'm gonna allocate 0, 1, and 2. So let's say go for 3, where 3 is not there. So ideally this should return me array index out of bound exception. Yes, that's what happens. So array index out of bound exception happens when I'm trying to access an array index which is not there, for which a memory allocation is not done. So yeah, this is how initialization happens, and I hope you guys are now familiar with how to initialize an array, how to access an array, and how to write a logic. So that's it. If you guys want to know anything about arrays and advanced concepts in arrays and collections list, which are more advanced concepts which has more data structures in that, we can have another tutorial on that. And so till then, yep, see you guys. Thank you.